Good evening. I am back with my testimony, part three. This is coming after the interlude when I realized that spiritually I had been in a union with something very dark. Now, I have to tell you that I wrote this out because there's a lot that was entailed in it. So I'll be reading some of it. So I want to let you know that when one awakens to a higher truth on different levels of awareness, one realizes that everything that they have known, grown up in, loved, at least for me, all of it was lies. All of it. Where the battle gets real. The spiritual battle gets real when you realize everything you grew to know, do, and love is all a lie. And now you've got to break the habits and the cycles and relearn how to live in a more righteous and godly way, right? Building a nice, strong foundation for yourself. Incorporating the Christ consciousness and living with intention and purpose. Now, all of this began in 2020. I think a lot of people started going through this in 2020. I was sitting on my couch watching television when I turned to my partner and said, I think I'm supposed to be a witch. That's what I thought this was, right? Because I'm immersed in the dark. All that I consumed was dark. I watched nothing but horror movies. I listened to anything that was not of high vibration. So this is what I automatically went to. I've learned a lot about the word witch since then, so I don't think of it in a negative connotation unless the intention behind it is negative, right? So being the super supportive partner that she is, she said, okay, what do we need to do? I said, I'm not sure yet, but me and all of my tenacity set out on an epic journey to know all about how to witch and how to experience all the magic in the world, because that's me and my childlike curiosity, right? I always thought of myself as a complete badass, right? Diving headfirst into everything I do. Well, this in my mind was no different. I guess in a sense I was, but diving into spiritual awakening was different. I began with meditation. That's when I realized that when I would settle down, I would feel dizzy, like my head was constantly spinning. That wasn't just me. I've heard other people talk about that too. I gravitated towards spiritual groups. I began to detox from all the different media, the social, music, television. I turned everything off. I sat with myself, and that is when I started having internal pain, like physical pain. All these things I wished I didn't have to face, I now had to face. My most painful moments, the deaths, the losses, the disappointments, and the disappointments in myself, the dark side of life. And after many, many, many nights of tears, I realized it. I began to feel better. I felt my body actually releasing trauma, right? I began to feel renewed, uplifted. I even began to love myself again, and even the parts of me that were harder to deal with. I remember the day that I healed the relationship with my Heavenly Father. I didn't even know that the relationship was there. And once I realized it was there, I didn't realize that it had been severed by me. All the things I never realized that were going on in my life were slowly reaching a crescendo. Like I began to really dig into who I was, and that helped me identify who I wanted to be. It was such a beautiful unfolding, even though it was painful, right? I was like a child gallivanting across the universe, across the multiverse. I was free. I began searching for more answers because I started having more questions, right? And so I turned to tarot. And I turned to tarot on YouTube. When I started looking for tarot on YouTube, it was nothing like it is now, right? At first, there wasn't really a lot on there, and I bought my own cards and books and how to use them. I loved it. I finally felt like this community was where I belonged. A storyline began to emerge no matter what reader I was watching, and it really began to resonate with me. Actually, there were a few different stories that I found really resonated with me, really disturbing ones, but I didn't care, right? I am a free spirit, so I didn't let it bother me. I was loving God, I was loving myself. I thought at that time that I was all good because I had healed, right? I was in love with the world around me. What could go wrong? This was spiritual awakening, and the unfolding is all that is required. This is when things began to take a turn. I had talked in one of my other videos about how I had come across a very talented psychic who described digital witches. And I realized that I had been a victim of a community of digital witches. And I'm sure many of us that were turning towards this community fell prey to that, because when you're not fully awake, you can be very susceptible to stuff like that. So I stayed in prayers and faithful to God. However, I noticed another side of me starting to emerge. In hindsight, I realize now that the other side of me that was emerging was my ego, and she wasn't going out without one hell of a fight. See, I had been asleep a long time, and my ego had been protecting me a long time, and she had a mind of her own. Don't trip. God and my higher self did put her in her place, and now she is humbled and calm. We are in a different place now. In the process of all of this, my ego really got me in trouble. My ego was making deals that I was unaware of. And that's not going to make sense to a whole lot of people, but for those who understand, yeah, I had something real dark going on in my life that I was very unaware of. It isn't really her fault. She was tricked. She was lied to because she had love as something she thought loved her back. And I'm not saying that no one else has a traumatic awakening and ascension. I'm just saying, I hope none of y'all had to go through some of the experiences that I did. That's real talk. This is part 1 of the Divorcing Darkness. I'll be right back with part 2.